Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashanti Smith from Senator Cortese's office, and I will be moderating today's press conference. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for our speakers and our supporters for being here. We'll hear from a number of speakers, each offering brief remarks, and there will be time for a Q&A after the remarks. Due to the volume of speakers, we ask that our speakers limit their remarks to about 1 to 2 minutes. To begin, I'd like to introduce Senator Dave Cortese, Chair of the Senate Transportation Committee and author of SB 545.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ashanti, and thank you, everyone, for being here. First and foremost, colleagues and business and labor representatives, we're very pleased to have you here, not only in a show of support, but to help us answer questions and get the point across as to what we're doing. Of course, Mr. Chowdhury and his team from the High Speed Rail Authority. Thank you to the media, those who are listening, those who are here present, helping us get the word out. I've been impressed since I've been in the state Senate for 5.5 years now at how much help we get with basic public information from the media, getting it out there so our constituents understand what's happening right up to the minute. We're here today because high-speed rail is California's opportunity to lead the nation in clean, fast, and safe public transit. That's number one. Many areas across our state are on the cusp of economic growth, and high-speed rail can help accelerate that growth, and it will accelerate that growth. And in fact, to some degree, it's already happening. Everywhere a station is built, we have the opportunity to spark new housing, grow local businesses, and create jobs that uplift our local communities. Governor Newsom's proposal to dedicate $1 billion fixed annually from the state cap and trade revenues to this project will ensure we stay on track, avoid costly interruptions, and fulfill the very mission of cap and trade, cutting greenhouse gas emissions. Uncertainty in funding and relying on fluctuating funding models will only leave us with further delays and ballooning costs. This is the state's opportunity to commit to stable, long-term funding for a 21st century transportation system in California. We can't build a 21st century transportation system on one-time money alone, or with limited resources that don't get us where we're trying to go. We know that, and a stable state commitment will ultimately finish the job, and I'm absolutely convinced of that. But with the right framework, we can leverage development along the high-speed rail corridor so that the project helps pay for itself, to finally lower the burden on taxpayers. And I think to a person, folks who speak today and folks who are leading this effort will say, as much as we need public participation and continued commitment from California, we need private investment in this project, and we will have that as well. The value high-speed rail creates in its own corridor, in its own owned property, in its own right-of-way, will actually create a residual for the project. The results speak for themselves. Already, high-speed rail has created more than 14,600 high-quality union jobs, engaging nearly 900 small businesses and generating over $22 billion in economic impact, particularly in the Central Valley, which is, of course, the top agricultural producer in the country. But soon, with the stimulus of high-speed rail, we'll see in the Central Valley technology, housing, commercial development in a much different picture than we see today without compromising the agricultural production of the valley. This is how we grow our economy and cut pollution at the same time. It's not either or, it's both and. And Californians agree. A majority of voters continue to support this project. We know that. With support even higher among younger generations who see this as part of their future. Why wouldn't they? A new Politico Citron Center Possibility Lab poll conducted by UC Berkeley, and many of you heard about already, found that 62% of California voters, including 80% of Democrats, 79% of Gen Z, and 72% of millennials, support continuing the state's high-speed rail project. That's why I introduced SB 545, and yes, I am going to speak about my bill a little bit. The legislation complements the governor's proposal and actions taken by our high-speed rail CEO, Mr. Chowdhury, by creating a clear policy framework that allows high-speed rail to pay for itself over time. SB 545 will require the state to capture the value of residential and commercial development along the nearly 400-mile corridor. In other words, as high-speed rail drives growth in our communities, that growth will in turn generate new revenue streams to sustain the project. 545 will come back in a year, less than a year from now, and begin to tell us what exactly is going to happen in terms of the billions of dollars of potential and value capture along the corridor. High-speed rail can and should become not only a public transportation project, but an engine for housing development, business expansion, and economic opportunity in California. And as our good high-speed rail CEO often says, that will make it the largest economic development project in 2 continents. Think about that for a while. The largest economic development project, not just in this country, which we often talk about, or the state, but in 2 continents. Most importantly, we must reduce the burden on taxpayers. By tying the project's funding to corridor development, we can make high-speed rail a self-sustaining investment. That, along with P3 opportunities and much more that you can see in the supplemental reports and in what leadership is saying here, what our unions have been telling us for a long time, which housing producers have been telling us for a long time, is going to get the job done. Together with the governor's leadership and the support of our labor, business, housing, and climate partners here today, we're going to deliver this transformative project for Californians and generations of Californians to come. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll turn it back over to Ashante Smith for our next speaker at this time.
So our next speaker is going to be Ian Chowdhury, the CEO of the California High-Speed Rail Authority.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator Cortese, for your leadership and continued support for the program. I am the CEO of California High-Speed Rail Authority. When I joined the program, I knew it's going to be tough and difficult decisions need to be made. So I also knew that it's doable and we can actually have a path forward to get the program done. This program has been challenged in many ways, but here we have made already real progress. And so we are about to finish 119 mile that is under construction now. This week, we will be seeking our board approval to procure the track and materials required to build tracks. And we will be laying tracks for the 119 mile that is under construction next year. With that said, program is now at its crossroads. We have to make decisions. We can choose to let the challenges of the past define the program's future, or we can meet the moment by supporting high-speed rail with right tools and partnerships to make this one as kind of a meaningful progress we all want to see. Just last week, the authority released supplemental project update report. This report lays out a clear path to accelerate the construction and put this program on track to achieve commercial success at earliest possible stage. If followed, what we recommend there in the update report, this will ensure the system maximizes the value of California's investment and importantly generates significant revenues, which is key to supporting the full system build out from downtown San Francisco to Los Angeles, Anaheim. Most important, the plan requires a steady, long-term funding. That has been the challenge from the beginning. And we need that commitment to accelerate construction. Very thankful to Governor for the $15 billion cap and invest, $1 billion a year. But if we want to go even bolder, we can go beyond that. We also require legislative fixes to provide the authority with the tools and resources needed around third-party utility relocations, property acquisition, clean energy delivery, CEQA exemptions, environmental permitting, and other legislative enhancement to properly align project delivery sequence with the revenue and the ridership potential. Without these adjustments, cost and schedule will continue to be challenging to manage. But taken together, these actions can provide a level of certainty that a meaningful high-speed rail system connecting the Central Valley to population centers and innovation hubs, offering new career opportunities, economic mobility, affordable housing, and a cleaner environment can be built and operational by 2038-39 in our lifetimes. I'm proud to be joined with the legislature, business, labor leaders, and climate leaders who share a clarity of purpose to get this program on the right track. And I'm looking forward to engaging with each of you and your colleagues to help chart a path forward that delivers a system worthy of California's ambitions, one that can reshape the state and our society for the better. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will be introducing our next speaker, Walter Weishar, VP of NorCal Region of Griffith Company.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone. My name is Walter Weishar. I'm representing Griffith Company, as the gentleman told you. Griffith Company is one of California's oldest general engineering contractors. We're actually celebrating our 123rd year of incorporation in 2025. Griffith is also the only California-based general engineering contractor to have completed a construction package on the California High-Speed Rail, CP4. In doing so, we faced a multitude of challenges, from right-of-way acquisition to environmental clearances and beyond. However, the one challenge we did not contend with that is currently facing us is budget shortfalls, funding gaps. As you guys know, starting and stopping large, complex projects for whatever the reason is disruptive, expensive, and time-consumptive. SB 545 and the cap and trade extension is really the avenue I think that we're going to go ahead and be able to solidify the funding and take that challenge off the plate. As you guys know, and I live in Shafter, California. It's a very rural community. It's very underserved. Our project stopped just to the north of Shafter and Wasco. Getting through those types of communities provides a massive economic boost to the region, to the hands, to the labor union folks that put these projects together. They do an amazing job. They work with their heart. They build some amazing infrastructure. So as we look at how this could work, I think teamed with fiscal responsibility and clear right-of-way ahead of construction, SB 545 and the extension of cap and trade is really the avenue that we can get to allow those trade folks to build these projects with safety, under budget, and on time, and allow us to really push this forward. So now is the time, not the time to pause. Let's reauthorize the cap and trade and pass 545 and keep California moving forward. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so now I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Chris Hannan, President of the State Building and Construction Trades Council.
Thank you. Good afternoon. California's investment in California high-speed rail today and into the future is an important commitment to the future of California. This project not only will change and reshape generations to come in a positive, transformational way that very few projects have the ability to do, but it's not only shaping tomorrow and into the future, it's shaping and making generational change today. Thousands of members of building trades unions are working on the project today. Over 1,500 members a day go to work on this project. 1,500 members that were introduced to the building trades in all different ways. Going through an apprenticeship readiness program with Valley Build in partnership with our local building trades councils, are introducing the trades to people that could use an opportunity. Opportunities that not only provide a better future for themselves, but also their families for generations. Mothers and fathers are going to work on this project. This is not just a project for our kids and our kids' kids. This is a project for today, where mothers are going to work, fathers are going to work, and their kids are going to work on the same project. They're getting into those apprenticeship programs. They're earning family-sustaining wages. They're opening up doors for that lifelong career. California's commitment to continue this project, to fully build out this project, is critical. It's critical not only for our future, but it's critical for every one of those families throughout the Central Valley today. And we're going to expand that to touch nearly every building trades union in our State Building Trades Council.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker, Senator McNerney.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is an important project, but I want to talk about it from a personal point of view. Several years ago, we decided to redesign our family kitchen. We got estimates. They started the work. Of course, there were delays. There were obstacles. Costed more than we expected. But I tell you what, when it got done, we loved our new kitchen. And I can tell you what, the Californians are going to love high-speed rail when it's finished. Look at any country that has high-speed rail. It's an economic driver. People take it. It's wonderful. Californians are going to love this. And I also want to say that this President Trump is trying to reduce or eliminate federal funding for this. Well, that tells me personally that it's a good project. And I can tell you why, because it's going to reduce carbon emissions and it's going to help California's economy boom further. So with that, I think we have excellent reasons to move forward with this, and it's going to be a real boom to the state of California.
Next, I would like to introduce Joe Cruz, Executive Director for the California State Council of Laborers.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity. And thank you, Senator and Senators, for being here today. It's through your leadership and commitment to this project that we'll make it a reality at some point. I represent Laborers International Union North America, 80,000 hardworking men and women. 600 a day work on this project in the Central Valley. 600 lives we change every single day with a good wage, pension, health care for them and their families. So we're changing folks' lives every single day and putting folks on a path to the middle class. But today we're at a crossroads, and it's not just transportation, but vision, ambition, and the legacy we leave behind for generations. We all heard it. California is a land of innovation, of progress, dreams built on hard work and ambition, and yet as other nations race to the future with high-speed rail, connecting cities with breathtaking efficiency and sustainability, we're stuck in traffic on the tarmac, burning fuel, burning time, and burning out. It's time for that to change. High-speed rail is not just a mode of transportation, it's a movement. It's an investment in our economy, in our environment, our cities, our people. With every mile of track we lay, we're laying the groundwork for a 21st century California. A California that's cleaner, that's faster, that's more connected, and more competitive on the world stage. Imagine this. A student commuting from Sacramento to Los Angeles under 3 hours, reading, studying, working, without ever touching a steering wheel. A business owner in the Bay Area, zipping to the Central Valley for a meeting and getting home in time to watch his kids play baseball, soccer, and have dinner with his family. A family at the airport a family who has to choose between the airport and high-speed rail, they're going to choose high-speed rail. It's greener, it's cleaner, it's easier and more affordable, and at some point more reliable. And that's not just a dream. That's a reality. It's happening in Europe, in Japan, in China, and it can happen in California. Every dollar we invest in high-speed rail creates jobs, not just in construction, but in engineering, design, and manufacturing. It slashes greenhouse gas emissions. It eases congestion on our roads and highways, and in our airports. And above all, high-speed rail is a symbol, a bold declaration that we believe in a better future, that California believes in a better future, a future where we refuse to settle for delays, gridlock, and pollution, a future where we move faster, we think smarter, and we live better. To those who say it's too expensive, I say, what's the cost of standing still? What's the price of inaction while air and highway traffic increases, our roads and bridges crumble, and our time is wasted? To those who say it can't be done, I say, look at what we've built already. Our grandparents built an interstate highway system. They built a state water project, the Golden Gate Bridge. We can do it. We can't sit still. Let's not be the generation that watched the world speed by. Let's be the generation that got on board, that invested, that believed, and that built. The tracks of tomorrow are waiting. Let's lay them today. So thank you again for your leadership, and we look forward to making this project a reality.
So before we introduce our next speaker, I would like to acknowledge Robert Purcell with the U.S. High-Speed Rail Association. We have a lot of great partners here, so I wanted to take the time to acknowledge you as well. So next, I would like to bring up Matt Cremens, the Director of the International Union of Operating Engineers.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Cremens. I'm the director of the California-Nevada Conference of Operating Engineers, representing thousands of heavy equipment operators, mechanics, land surveyors, among others in the construction industry, who are actively working to ensure that our state has a 21st century transportation system. I'd be remiss if I did not start by thanking Senator Cortese for all of his work and efforts around the state's high-speed rail project and his continuous drive to ensure that this project ends up being the transformative infrastructure investment that voters envisioned when it was first approved. This project, our state's high-speed rail project, has and continues to be a force for economic mobility in the Central Valley. And while some like to focus on negative headlines, it should be noted that this project, and in many ways, has already met many of the aspirations that we had when this project was simply a pipe dream. To date, this is a project that has created over 15,000 high-quality jobs. This is a project that has engaged over 900 small businesses. This is a project that has seen apprentices graduate and become journeyman construction workers, and a project that has been a mechanism for thousands in the Central Valley to lift themselves up to the middle class. And now is not the time to abandon that progress. And with smart investments, we can build on these successes and deliver to the people of California the transformative infrastructure system that they deserve. So that is why the operating engineers are proud to be here today and urging the legislature to support the governor's ask for $1 billion annually from the state's cap and trade program. And we are additionally calling on the legislature to pass SB 545 to ensure that the economic benefits of this project are felt across the Central Valley. Let's get this done. Thank you.
Our next speaker is going to be Mitchell Bechtel, the political director of the District Council of Ironworkers.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Mitchell Bechtel. I have the privilege of representing thousands of ironworkers across the state of California on behalf of the District Council of Ironworkers. California's high-speed rail is a transformational project that will create meaningful change for working families across the state. That's why we're here today supporting the governor's proposal for $1 billion a year towards this project. As high-speed rail gets rolling, SB 545 will create economic opportunity for development along the rail corridor. These opportunities for residential, commercial, and long-term growth will maximize the investment dollars and put thousands to work. The ironworkers are proud to support this project. This has created hundreds, if not thousands, of meaningful opportunities for folks in our own ranks, but also this has created meaningful and transformational change for all of the families that are downstream from the infrastructure project itself. We're excited for these union jobs. We're excited for the downstream development, and we're excited to finish this work. So help us out. Let's get this $1 billion a year and move this project forward. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Senator Smallwood Cuevas.
Good afternoon, and I want to thank the California's high-speed rail advocates and leaders for all of their hard work. I am a firm believer when California begins something, we need to finish it, and this is a transformational project that began with a vision for building a stronger, more united California, for building an economy that would lift all of California. And I'm here to support this initiative because it's not a matter of should we continue to invest in high-speed rail. It's absolutely about how we do it and how we use these dollars to uplift our communities. Our communities deserve a cleaner, more connected future that is rooted in economic opportunity for working families. As chair of Senate Labor Committee, I understand what this real momentum will mean. It's about not just about a vision of putting California to work and moving dirt and laying tracks. It's about transforming lives. And we know that this project has done a tremendous amount of change for so many families. 109,000 full-time equivalent job years, good union jobs that put real food on the table, provide stability and strength for our communities. And representing South Central Los Angeles and having witnessed the development of a network of rail projects, I know for sure that this high-speed rail will be the backbone of a public transit system that all of our metropolitan transit authorities will come to rely on, and why this project is so important to build those kinds of partnerships. Even more importantly, I want to point out that 2/3 of the project spending last year flowed directly into disadvantaged communities. What that means is men and women that have barriers to employment, men and women who are living in high unemployment areas with chronic and compounded poverty have an opportunity to get a quality job and have a future in which there will be change for generations. And that's something that I think many, particularly our building trades partners, understand and know that we have to do more of as we look at expanding this important work. It's about cutting emissions, it's about tackling climate change, but it's also about sustaining our working families and our small businesses and our underserved neighborhoods. We have to ensure that they are lifted up in this extension, and I know that many of our folks who are here with us today are committed to doing that. We know that once we complete the line from San Francisco to Los Angeles and Anaheim, this project is expected to create over 1 million jobs and generate $86 billion in labor income. For LA, for my district, cap and trade is essential, and this embedding and continuing to embed high-speed rail as a priority is critical, and every investment will and must deliver for workers, for the poor, for excluded communities facing barriers to employment, because we know they are as much a part of the future of California as all of us. And certainly these good green jobs will make the difference for their families for generations to come. Let's seize this moment. Let's build momentum. Let's do this. Let's keep California dreaming a reality.
Thank you. So I would like to just acknowledge the support that we have here. We have quite a few members and senators here. I would like to acknowledge Senator Archuleta for being here and his support. Our next speaker is going to be Senator Tim Grayson.
And good afternoon to everybody. Thank you to Chair Cortese for inviting us together, bringing us together, and for your leadership on this very, very important issue. High-speed rail has the opportunity to absolutely transform, and we've heard this word a lot, transformational for the state of California. It will connect our communities and vastly improve travel while creating thousands of good-paying union jobs, providing support to our small businesses and generating billions in economic impact across California. Being one of the largest economies in the world, it's really about time that we in California catch up to the world with the advancements that they have made in transportation and infrastructure. This project will require sizable, ongoing investments in order for California's voters' will to be realized. And by investing in cap and trade dollars into a faster, cleaner transportation, we have the opportunity to exponentially increase the value and impact our state monies can have on protecting our environment. SB 545 is smart policy to create a clear framework for sustained funding and a plan to capture value from residential and commercial growth along the 350-mile corridor, helping the project to actually pay for itself over time. I'm proud to stand here, support SB 545, support our chair and this proposal, and hope together that we can get this project done. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker was going to be Assemblymember Carrillo.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me here today. As many of you know, I am a strong supporter of high-speed rail because it represents not just a transportation project, but a bold investment in California's future. By dedicating $1 billion in cap and invest funding annually, as proposed by the governor, we can create thousands of good-paying jobs, expand affordable and sustainable transportation, and boost long-term economic growth. High-speed rail is also about equity. It connects underserved and isolated regions to the areas with greater job opportunities while making commutes faster and more convenient for working families. As a proud co-author of SB 545, I believe these legislations provide a responsible framework that ensures California's investments are strategic, efficient, and focused on delivering a world-class rail system. This work is especially critical as we confront the state's affordability crisis. Every dollar invested must help avoid costly delays and deliver the benefits of high-speed rail as quickly as possible. For communities like the Central Valley, the Inland Empire, and the Antelope Valley in my district, high-speed rail offers a chance to grow economically and socially by reducing isolation and opening doors to new opportunities. I look forward to continue uplifting the need for this transformative project. And there are regions in the state that will actually have not only one or two high-speed rail systems, but three in the high desert, the area that I represent, not only with California high-speed rail, but with Brightline currently in the works, and also through the high desert corridor, where NCTC has done a lot of work and has actually showed that there can be more ridership if we make that connection from LA to Palmdale through the high desert corridor. Thank you for having me here today.
Now I would like to introduce Melanie Okoro, Principal and CEO of Eco Alpha.
I'd first like to thank Senator Cortese, senators that are here today, CEO Chowdhury, for your leadership and your invitation to support SB 545. My name is Dr. Melanie Okoro. I own and operate Eco Alpha Environmental and Engineering Services. We're headquartered right here in Sacramento, California. We're a facilities operation and maintenance firm. And one of the most important things that we know is that as a small business working on a mega transportation project, it's going to be extremely important to see all the partners here today, so thank you too. Over the past 4 years, I have served on the High Speed Rail Business Advisory Council, representing the Capital Black Chamber of Commerce. That means I'm an advocate for all small businesses. Imagine a California where communities are connected by clean, fast, and sustainable transportation. And small businesses are not just participants, but leaders driving economic growth. Well, that vision is becoming a reality for the high-speed rail. And I'm again honored to speak in support of SB 545. But SB 545 is more than just a framework. It's a mandate for sustained, long-term funding from the private and the public sector for support of ongoing operations and maintenance while strengthening small business partnerships, not only through participation, but also utilization. This piece of legislation and the authority play a vital role in identifying opportunities and streamlining processes for small businesses that have a proven track record to deliver as prime vendors through tested mechanisms. There are great opportunities to utilize federal examples, such as MATOC, the opportunity for small businesses to partner with the trades, the opportunity to unbundle large-scale procurements, such as the current procurements that are upcoming in facilities operation and maintenance and design. So high-speed rail has built bridges connecting the Central Valley communities. Now small businesses, from operations and maintenance firms to professional services providers, are essential in this progress. SB 545 strengthens SB participation, ensuring small businesses remain integral to the economic development of communities directly impacted by and benefiting from this transformative transportation project. Thank you.
So now I would like to introduce Jonathan Cole from Climate Action California.
Good afternoon. I'm representing Climate Action California, a grassroots advocacy group
focused on science-based solutions to climate change. California high-speed rail is a key element of California's ongoing efforts to reduce emissions and meet our climate goals. Transportation is the largest source of climate heating emissions in California, and high-speed rail will create an efficient, sustainable alternative to both air and automobile travel between our state's major metropolitan areas and provide the backbone for a robust system of intercity and regional and local transit. California will face increasing travel demands in the coming decades. We could build more highway lanes, more airport gates, and more runways, but that would only increase our emissions, and it would cost significantly more than high-speed rail would to deliver the same capacity. Or we could spend nothing and face increasing travel congestion and wasteful delays. High-speed rail offers a sustainable 21st century solution. Moreover, high-speed rail will provide major economic benefits to California, as our speakers have pointed out. It will increase economic integration and strengthen the links among California's major metropolitan areas by providing fast, reliable, center-to-center connections. Better connections between cities will open up new opportunities for infill and transit-oriented development, helping us to meet California's housing and climate goals. However, the project can only be completed and these benefits can only be realized if high-speed rail receives sustainable, stable, and guaranteed funding. It's time for California to make a solid commitment to completing high-speed rail. Climate Action California supports this project and thanks Senator Cortese for introducing SB 545, which helps the state to prepare for high-speed rail's benefit through a study that will make clear the economic opportunities along the corridor, helping all Californians to better recognize and prepare for the benefits of this crucial transportation system. Thank you.
Great. So thank you to everyone in attendance. I will now be bringing up Senator Cortese as he will close the press conference out today and be available for any questions that the press may have. I know our speakers will also be available for questions as well.
Well, thank you, Ashante, for moderating today. Thank you, everyone, again for being here. Particularly want to acknowledge the legislators who were here present, whether they spoke or not, and they represent a significant number of legislators at this point who are in support of both of the initiatives that we talked about, and I particularly want to emphasize the long-term commitment of Cap and Trade, or Cap and Invest as it's now called. With that, we're going to go ahead and conclude this portion of the news conference. We can remain here if there's any questions any questions for any of the speakers or anyone here present at this time? Yes? Right.
Obviously you can as well, Senator. Jamie Kennedy from Spectrum News. In the report released on Friday, it talks about the first scenario, Merced to Bakersfield, in terms of the annual cost of that line being 120 to 122 million, and revenue for that line falling well short of providing that. How is that going to be addressed when that's the first portion and it just leads to more funding gaps? A live fund.
Right. And let me ask the CEO to come up, Ian Chowdhury, to come up and explain that a little further. There were 4 scenarios that were laid out in the supplemental report. That ultimately, it'll be the legislature's decision as to whether to invest further in the current route, in the current plan, or to stop it at Merced, until further notice. That's obviously not the recommendation of high-speed rail. Certainly wouldn't be my recommendation. It's no surprise that ridership picks up almost exponentially as you continue to add to the line. I would say for those of us from urban transportation backgrounds where we're dealing with commuter rail in places like the Bay Area, it's amazing to see any project that can cover its expenses with ridership in the first place, let alone something with the magnitude of high-speed rail. But let me ask Mr. Chowdhury to explain a little bit further about what he's trying to lay out in terms of options. Thank you.
So we presented 4 different alternatives, right? Merced to Bakersfield is part of what we are constructing today, but that's not the entire system. So when you start running operations in one segment of the line, is no different than any other metro lines than when we build, is we start somewhere, we start operating, and then we build more until it connects the population centers. Until then, well, transit, you can generally see New York, San Francisco, BART, just the fare box recovery never pays off for the operational cost. What we are looking at is other ways to commercialize and monetize, and we presented that in the plan. So right now, we presented 4 scenarios. We need legislative actions on that. Whatever is picked, we are program delivery team. We are gonna just deliver what we are given. So the scenario of Merced Bakersfield is just one segment. It is. I mean, you got to begin somewhere, and that was a choice made long time ago. That's where we want to build. So that's what we're going to complete.
Follow up then. How important will private partnerships be in making sure that this is going to be continually funded and be able to be viable in terms of showing any sort of revenue coming back to this country?
2 things on that. Funding, long-term funding commitment is what we are asking for. Financing, which is the private sector, or we can do bonds. What it does, it accelerates the program significantly. So you say we have 15, 20, 30 years funding commitment from the state, then we can go to the private equity partners and say, okay, now since the state have committed, you can finance the program and advance the delivery. And they can do that way faster than us doing $1 billion a year construction, because that's very inefficient. So we are engaged with the private sector, and they have been true partners with us for now. They just want to see what commitment the state will make, and then they can finance against that.
With ABC 10, well, what happens if the funding from the legislature isn't promised through the cap and trade program? What will happen then?
Sorry, what if?
What if the funding through the legislature, through the cap and trade or cap and invest program isn't promised? What will happen then?
Well, it's like I want to build my house and I don't have the money to do it, then we just don't build it, right? I mean, that's that simple. It's the economy, right? So if we have long-term funding commitment, we can finance against and we can commercialize and monetize as quick as we can. But a hypothetical scenario where there is no money to build the house, well, then we don't build the house.
By the way, we don't see that as a likelihood at this point. Obviously, there'll be more news as the Assembly Working Group and the Senate Working Group come forward with formal proposals on cap and trade. But what we've seen and heard from discussions is the worst case scenario is, we believe, is the status quo, which is 25% right now of the proceeds. Best case scenario may be right now the $1 billion fixed, which tracks past investments. So we're optimistic about that, I think, is the short answer.
Someone just mentioned that this project has generated 15,000 jobs. I just want to know the demographic breakdown on that. I would like to know how many people from the black community has been hired. I know as far as contractor, Dr. LaCour is an example. She's one of the contractors. Just wanted to know if there's any type of numbers and what areas that they are working in as far as, construction, vendors, so on and so.
Yeah, I know High Speed Rail Authority has tracked those demographics, as have the building trades and the labor unions in general. I'll let them respond further. But I would strongly encourage, if you haven't had a chance to do it already, getting out there to the project sites and actually talking to some of those construction workers, because there are folks coming from those local communities. They really represent a microcosm of California in every demographic, but particularly in terms of, at this point, in the blue-collar workforce that's out there, excited about what they're doing, excited about what they're delivering, and excited about what it's going to do for their communities and for their children, because they see the economic development that's going to follow this, this public investment in the rail system itself. Let me see if Mr. Chowdhury has. Yes, sir. Whoever has the answer to that question, please step up.
Thanks for the question, and I can speak on behalf of the laborers. 85% of our membership is people of color. Through this type of work, I think we're getting the most value when we're recruiting second chancers. We're recruiting folks from the foster system, folks who just choose that college is not an option, that this is one way to a good paying job. So the laborers are doing that. Our apprenticeship programs show it. We're well represented in the African American community, and we're changing lives, brother. We're changing lives every single day through this type of work. So thanks for the question.
Maybe just a little follow-up. California High-Speed Rail is being constructed under a project labor agreement. Remember that we've only just begun the California High-Speed Rail, and there's a tremendous amount of work to come. And the trades working on that project today represent the Central Valley. The largest number of workers comes from the Central Valley. The apprenticeship programs where those union members get their training from are being fed through targeted recruitment through Valley Builds, apprenticeship readiness programs. In addition to that, helmets to hard hats and other community outreach programs. When we go through targeted recruitment, and depending on which portion of the state we're talking about, right now the project's largest portions are from the Central Valley. The 14 counties are feeding into that, Fresno, Kern County being the highest. There's already work happening in Los Angeles as well, as they're doing projects there that they know is going to feed into high-speed rail. There's investments happening there. And on the apprenticeship readiness programs that feed those apprenticeship programs and those unions, the makeups represent the different communities. The members from the Black community coming through these apprenticeship programs, getting opportunities for the next 30, 35 years. We could get the actual data, how much is represented. But like Brother Cruz said, the majority of the trades apprenticeship programs throughout the state of California are majority people of color, representing all different ethnicities and races. The targeted recruitment gets the all women's cohorts, the programs focusing on formerly incarcerated. Those things are happening all throughout the state of California. And I welcome you to come out to be, whether it be a Valley Build program in Fresno, any other county. We would love to show you that and then bring you out to one of the apprenticeship training programs. You're going to see a project site that looks like the Central Valley. You're going to see those apprenticeship readiness programs reaching deep into those communities. And those students, those participants are actually getting into those apprenticeship programs, becoming union members, and completing those programs as well. So we can get you the exact numbers. We won't have the exact numbers today, but I encourage you to come out to one of them. The job sites, every one of them, because there's hundreds on the active high-speed rail right now. Those apprenticeship programs, they represent the communities that we're building in.
I'd like to also take an opportunity, Senator, if I may, to share my comments with you. Many of the representation here today are from the trades, and a large portion of the work that has been done already and that continues to be done is in the trades. What's so great about, I think, about SB 545 is that we're also looking for the future, right? For ongoing maintenance and operation. And a lot of that work comes through the professional services industry, right? Where we're hiring environmental planners, right-of-way experts, engineers to operate and maintain those facilities. So there's great opportunity with a bill like this supported by the authority to be able to support communities of all colors, even the Black community. And so I'm excited about the opportunity to stand here today to say that, because it's also a challenge, right? It's a challenge to meet the goals that we have in this proposed legislation and to see it forward and for it to be sustainable for small businesses across the state.
You had a follow-up question?
Vice Chair has openly, obviously, criticized this project and has said that the current update of this project isn't delivering to what voters approved back in 2008. And he's suggesting that if the legislature goes forward with this, that he needs to go back to the voters to give them an update so they can approve this current status of the project. What's your response to that?
Well, first of all, I respect my Senate Transportation Vice Chair tremendously, but we have a sharp disagreement about whether or not we should continue to invest in the Central Valley. We should continue to invest all the way down to Los Angeles, to Palmdale next, and of course to Santa Clara County. And, trying to compare $2025 to dollars that were projected 17 years ago, really doesn't make any sense. And I think everyone knows that. What the voters approved, the voters approved in terms of where these dollars go, without fraud, without defalcation, without diversion of these dollars to any other project. That's all happened. That promise has been kept. There's no need to go back to the voters. If he's interested in going back to the voters for more long-term funding, I'd be happy to join him in that effort. I think that's what Californians are looking at: more investment in their communities, more investments in jobs, an end to this housing crisis by more investment in housing, commercial development, parks and playgrounds, community centers, schools in their communities. That all comes about, and I could tell you as a representative for Silicon Valley, which converted from the Valley of Heart's Delight, orchards in my lifetime, dairies, farms, to the greatest economic force in the country in a single county. That all happens with public investment, that private investment follows, and that's what we're trying to do here. And I've indicated to Mr. Strickland, let's get this study out on SB 545 when it describes the billions of dollars of residual that's going to be available to not only finish this project but to benefit our communities. Then let's resume the debate. But I'll tell you, I've been surprised at, without calling out any of my colleagues per se, by some representatives in the legislature of the Central Valley arguing that we should be giving money back to the federal government. We're giving $83 billion a year more now to the federal government than what we receive from our tax dollars, from our federal withholding, from your withholding, from my withholding. And to ask them to take another $5 billion on top of that and distribute it to the Midwest, to Iowa or the Carolinas or some other place makes no sense to me at all. And I could tell you very clearly that in my district in Silicon Valley, if I was to suggest that we return $5 billion of grant money to the federal government that's intended for local jobs and local transportation, I probably wouldn't be here today as an elected official. So I think we'll win that debate. But he's doing a good job of elevating high-speed rail, and it seems like the more he elevates it, the higher the poll numbers go up for us. So I'm happy with that. Thank you. Anything else for now?
Is there a dollar amount on what is expected by the Trump administration as far as cutting dollars from this project? That was mentioned before.
The Trump administration in total has threatened about $4 billion, in terms of clawbacks. That's in litigation now. That money is in effect, in the equivalent of a constructive trust. It won't be spent. It won't be diverted to other parts of the country, the other 49 states, while the litigation is pending. And remember, those dollars were allocated to California in a law called, the Budget Act. The United States Congress distributed that money to California, not the executive branch. So, without getting into the litigation, I think people feel pretty strongly that eventually we'll get those dollars back. And in the meantime, we need to keep moving with our own California investments, keep the project going. All right, thank you, everyone. I know people up here are happy to take one-on-ones if anyone else is interested. Thank you.
Nice to see you in person.